Good evening and welcome, guys. It's the ARCA Racing Podcast. I thought we were done for the year, but nope, we are not. We have the 2024 schedules. We finally got the East and West schedules a couple days ago, so we can finally do this podcast. I am so excited, guys, to talk about the 2024 ARCA Series schedules. Welcome to tonight's show. I know this was kind of sudden. I know I said this was, I said the Phoenix review was going to be the last one of the year, but lo and behold, we got the schedules out before 2024. So this is going to be the last ARCA podcast of the year, not the Phoenix review. But thank you all for tuning back in. I know we haven't been here in a while. As you guys can tell, I've shaved since the last time. But yeah, all three series are back, of course, next year, like we all predicted. Some similar changes to the schedule, but a lot of the same. Overall, I like it. We're going to go through my little intro, go through at the beginning of every podcast. And then, of course, we'll jump right into the schedules. So you guys know the drill. Follow me on social media, Start and Park Car on Twitter for all ARCA tweets, low-budget team tweets, all that fun crap you guys know I tweet. Like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell for all notifications so you guys never miss a podcast when we go live. And, of course, give a shout-out to theracingexperts.com, the official media partner of this podcast. So, yeah, let's jump right into it, shall we? We will start off with the two divisions first. We'll start off with East and West, and then we'll do the main division last. So I wanted to start off with what kind of a lot of people were saying was the more duller of the three schedules, the East Series. The longtime listeners of this show, we've been pretty hard on the East Series, but I do think the criticism of the East Series is a little warranted. The series, I feel, just doesn't have enough identity to it. There's not enough races to get it going. The car counts have been dismal, and the racing overall has not been very good. This year's East Series standalone races, they were not the best. Dover was probably the saddest of all of them. And then that's coming from an ARCA diehard fan. But you have to be honest. We have to be honest on the show, and that's what I want to be honest to you guys. The East Series this year was not very good. It was not very good at all. It was kind of fun to see Fenhouse and Sawalich going back and forth. I wish we could have gotten more of that. Really, really do wish we could have gotten more of that. As we know, probably the best thing that came out of the East Series in 2023 was the rise of Pinnacle Racing Group. We didn't know much about them, and now we know that they're a very, very competitive organization capable of winning. They won two races this year with Luke Fenhouse. They should have won a couple more with guys like Connor Zilch. But of course, that's here, there, here. But anyway, guys, the schedule is pretty much the same. 8 races again. We're going to start off the season at 5 flags like we usually have been doing. The only difference is really compared to last year is that we have 5 combo races versus 4 from last year. And man, this is what, in my opinion, hurts the East Series. You have over half the season that's combo races. The only standalone races are 5 flags, Nashville and Flat Rock. Dover, Iowa, Lucas Oil, Milwaukee, and Bristol are the remaining races. Not in that particular order, but those are the combo races. Now, I am happy that Dover is no longer a combo race because I think we can admit the Dover races were just kind of sad to watch. And it's because, those 15-car fields that only has about probably 7 to 8 that can really go. It's really, really noticeable at a track like Dover, whereas, a half-mile short track, it's not as noticeable, but it's good to see that it will be a main race next year, so maybe we can get at least, 20, 25 cars for Dover, which would actually probably put on a halfway decent race. Not to say that the racing was awful this year, but when it's only 3 to 4 cars, it's hard to get invested. It really is. And again, I'm trying to be on. This is kind of honest criticism. This is not me just burying any. I'm not a guy who just buries everything, but this is honest criticism. I love Flat Rock. I love that track. I wish you could get more cars. I think if you had like a solid field of 25 cars at a track like Flat Rock, you'd have a great, great race. Nashville's a great track too. It's just the interest, man. Lack of interest. As far as we know now, in terms of that schedule, who's going to be running. Not many announcements. Have we, as far as you guys know, I don't believe I've seen any announcements of the East Series. I do believe William Sawalich is running the full East schedule again as part of his ARCA schedule, ARCA and Truck Series schedule next year. Will Pinnacle be back in the East Series full time? I've not heard any confirmation on that. As of now, Zachary Tinkle, he's a longtime friend and a longtime partner of the show. Zachary Tinkle has not confirmed anything for the East Series next year. So it's and this is kind of one of the things we've been seeing about the East Series is the lack of full-time drivers. When you look at the point standings this year, we actually had more full-time drivers than people realize in the East Series. But not all of them were necessarily what you would call competitive. I mean, I love Dale Scheer. You guys know I love Dale Scheer. I love him. He's an awesome guy, hardworking man, ran the full East season, but, he's just a filler. He's a filler car, just there to try his best. So he finished sixth in the points. Tim Monroe, I'm not sure if Tim was even scheduled to go the whole ARCA East season. It just kind of happened. He ended up finishing top 5 in points and went to the banquet, so that was pretty cool. But realistically, you had Sawalich, Fenhouse, and LeVar Scott with Rev Racing running the East Series, and they were pretty much the top 3 competitive cars. You had Sean Hingorani, too, who was going for both championships until Sean, pulled his stunt at Mid-Ohio and got suspended for Iowa. So, unfortunately, he was mathematically eliminated from that championship. So we still had quite a few East full-timers, but just overall not enough cars to really get a good season out of it. I love how Brad still got 9th place. Jesse Love in the combo races still got a top 10 points finish. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of get the East Series out of the way. I mean, no negativity towards it. It's just, it's not the series that just has enough life in it. A lot of people say, well, it needs 8 to 10 races of its own. The problem is, does the East Series really have 8 to 10 standalone races in it? I don't think it does. And I don't know what we do. I don't know what we do with the East Series. I just don't know what to do. But now having 5 standalone, wish we had 5 standalone, but 5 combo races with 3 standalones. I don't know, man. I don't know about that. But yeah, we start off with 5 flags. That usually gets a pretty decent field. A lot of the main teams do like 5 flags. It's a fun track. Of course, where the Snowball Derby is held. So that race might get an okay field, but tracks like Nashville, tracks like Flat Rock, I'll be shocked if those races get more than 20 cars. Luckily, with combo races, Dover, Iowa, IRP, Milwaukee, and Bristol should be 20 to 25 plus car fields. So at least the championship might be a fun battle, but we'll have to see more. Not many entries. Not many people have been announced for the E-Series yet. So with time, we'll see more of that. We'll see more, hopefully, East stuff with time. But yeah, so that is the East schedule. Pretty much the exact same things last year. Not much change there. Just why I wanted to get out of the way first. The West Series, as you guys know, in my personal opinion, my favorite. And that's kind of weird to say because I work in the main division, but I'll admit it, the West Series has been my favorite of the ARCA divisions the last couple years. And they have a great schedule. I'm very happy of this schedule. A lot of different dates, 12 races for next year, which is the right. I feel like maybe a couple more would be okay, but 12 races is a good amount for the series, especially a series that is still in its own right, struggling with car counts. It's just, even with their small car counts, they are producing good racing. That's the one thing I love about the West Series. They can still have a banger race with 13, 14 cars. The same cannot be said for an East race, which is weird how that works. But the ARCA West Series, they will start off their season, of course, with the Phoenix combo race with the main division, as usual. That's a good way to start the season. Then we have our first of 2 dates at Irwindale, our first of 2 dates at Kern Raceway, which update with Kern Raceway, Kern County, of course. I believe it is now owned by the Huddleston family. Trevor Huddleston's family, I believe, now owns that track. And it has now been renamed like Kevin Harvick Raceway. I think some sort of new naming rights with Kevin Harvick. So I know Kevin Harvick has recently retired from NASCAR. Hey, if Kevin wants to come out and run those West races, that'd be pretty cool. He has done that in the past. I think, 2017, 2018, he ran the K&N West race at Kern County. So that'd be pretty cool if Kevin Harvick ran the Kern County race in the West Series. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. I mean, it's a random ARCA West race. So I could see that happening. That actually would be really cool. Draw a great crowd, draw great attendance on Flow Racing. So, but yeah, continuing on. And then we go to Portland. I love Portland. It's a very, very fun road course. We got Sonoma, so back-to-back road courses once again, which is smart. I think it's smart for the West teams. Just lets them know you don't have to reset up a car for a short track. You can use the same road course car back-to-back weeks. And then we go to Irwindale again. Shasta returns. And Tri-City. How about that? How about that? Never know. I know a lot of people are like, Tri-City, what's that? Tri-City is a track in Washington. It's got a very unique design. If you want to go look it up online, it's a very, very unique design. It's like the Levi Strauss track on one of the old NASCAR racing games, like Xbox games, like Total Team Control. They haven't raced there since, I believe, 2003, I believe was the last West Series there. West Series race there. It's a cute little short track, half mile. I mean, they've been racing there in the 60s and 70s, 90s. But yeah, the last race there was 2003. Yeah, it's definitely been a while. It's definitely been a while. I love the fact that we are returning to old tracks on this circuit. That's one thing I absolutely love about the West Series is we've seen all these old tracks come back, like Shasta, like Madera, now Tri-City. I love the fact that the West Series is going to all these tracks that we have not been to in years. Literally, when we go to Tri-City next year, it'll be 21 years since the last race there with the then K&N East, when it was known as the K&N West Series, like the Northwest Series. Well, all those old names, as we knew they were. But yeah, so that is really cool. I'm happy about that. I will say, though, as much as it's great to have Tri-City, you do notice there are some dates on the ARCA West schedule that have been missed. The Las Vegas Bull Ring, as we know, is not returning. I believe that is going to be taken by Tri-City. Continuing on, like I said, then we have Madera, All-American, the second Kern County date, and then the finale at Phoenix. So I forgot to mention those. So yeah, Phoenix, Irwindale, Kern County, Portland, Sonoma, Irwindale, Shasta, Tri-City, Madera, All-American, Kern, Phoenix. A very, very solid schedule, very, very fun schedule. And I'm excited for the West Series. I'm very, very excited for the West Series in 2024. I'm going to miss the Bull Ring. I am going to miss Evergreen. I know a lot of people were bummed to see Evergreen not on the schedule. The future of that track has not been looking the best in the last couple of years. We know Greenville Pickens, a longtime staple of the ARCA. I don't think ARCA's racing, but the K&N circuit, that track's been up in air if it's ever going to come back. But Evergreen, one of the longest running short tracks on the West Coast, has not been looking the best either. So I hope this is not a sign of things to come for Evergreen. They've been a mainstay on the schedule. It is kind of sad not to see them there anymore, but unfortunately in these times that happens. I do hate it for the Las Vegas Bull Ring too. It was a great race. I'm really shocked that one's not back. I would like to take out one of the Kern County dates and put the Bull Ring in there. I think then you'd have a flawless schedule. But other than that, that's my only gripe. Have I applied for my ARCA license yet? No, not yet. I'm waiting to get the all clear from Andy Hillenberg to do that, to apply for my ARCA license. But yeah, so the ARCA West Series schedule, very, very solid there. Unlike the East Series, we do have some news. We do have some drivers to announce. Jack Wood, as we know, he's kind of been floating around all these different organizations. He is now with the McAnally team. He'll be driving the number 16 at Napa entry full-time in 2024. Not sure where Tanner Reif goes. Now, McAnally could just run a second entry. We could see the return of the 99, the 19 back in the West Series if McAnally wants to go back to two cars. But yeah, Jack Wood will be running for the West Series championship. Takuma Koga is more than likely coming back again for another season in the West Series. Caden Honeycutt, not really sure if he's going to be running the car. Not really sure if he's going to be running the car, but the number 17 team will be back full-time. Nick Jonides, yep, Lucas, right as I'm about to say it, Lucas in the chat, yep, Nick Jonides will be running the full season in his number 71 car. So we do have some full-time drivers being announced. As we know, the Todd Souza team, they will be back, just Todd Souza is no longer probably going to be driving full-time. I wouldn't shock me if Tyler Reif is in that car once again next year. Tyler did a great job this year, nearly won the championship on the number 13, despite competing in 2 different rides. So we will see the Souza team back. Jerry Pitts Racing, they'll probably have 2 or 3 cars alongside Koga. We know Kyle Keller, he'll probably be back. David Smith, forgot about David Smith, the 05 car, the Shockwave entry. He will be back full-time. We know Trevor Huddleston will more than likely be back full-time. So a lot of still heavy hitters in the West Series. And that's what I love about that series so much. It has its own identity still. And that's what the East Series is lacking. The West Series has its own specialness. It has its own identity. And Bobby Hillis too, he'll be running full-time next year. So yeah, like I said, a lot of full-time entries, more to come. I believe Jack Wood will also be running 14 truck races as well for the McAnally team. So now he's going over to McAnally after being with KBM this year. So wish Jack Wood nothing but the best there. But yeah, very, very fun schedule. Really looking forward to that Tri-City race. I would highly recommend people check out that one. It's going to be very, very fun. Kern County, love Kern County. Irwindale always puts on banger races. I think we are in for a very, very, very fun 2024 West Series season. Not sure if we'll see a Venerini entry. I think the only reason why we saw a Venerini entry was because of Sean Hingarani. Oh, yeah, Kyle Keller. We'll get to that in a second. I do believe Trevor Huddleston, like I said, will be back full-time. So, yeah, I'm not sure if Venerini will be back in the West Series. That was kind of primarily for Sean Hingarani. He paid for all that gig out in the West Series. It paid off. They won the championship. But unclear if Venerini will be running the West Series in 2024, though I would like it. I like seeing the home field West Series organizations take it to the big guns like Venerini every week. That was pretty entertaining this year. So, yeah, that's the West Series schedule. A lot of fun there. Like I said, Tri-City, I cannot wait for that track. Nothing on Bradley Erickson yet that at least I know of. I would expect probably Bradley Erickson to be back in some capacity. The Naki Kluwer team, the 88 team, they'll probably be back. They just haven't announced anything yet. Once that's announced, of course, we will, cover it on the show. But I don't want to over-assume anything until it's been formally announced. But yeah, so we've covered the East Series. We have covered the West Series. I want to know you guys in the chat right now, everybody watching. Obviously, we kind of already talked about the dismal of the East Series, but I want to let you guys know, I want you guys to let me know, what do you guys think of the West Series schedule? Thumbs up or thumbs down? I'm going to give it a thumbs up. I think it's kind of hard for the West Series to have a bad schedule with how many great short tracks there are on the West Coast. So, yeah, in the chat right now, I want to see some thumbs up or thumbs down emojis for the West Series schedule before we move on to the main division, because there's a lot to talk about there. I wanted to get those out first. Looks like we are seeing some thumbs up emojis. Glad to see that. I mean, I don't know who would disagree with that. I would love to go test for Dale Shear in Daytona. I would, but I just don't have the time to do it. I don't. I'll be in our Daytona in 2025, but yeah, some more thumbs up emojis. Exactly. Excuse me, guys. But yeah, I agree 100%, guys. The West Series schedule looks great. Very happy about that. I wish they had a TV deal. I like the fact they're on Flow Racing, but I wish the East and West Series could also get a TV deal. I feel like that's also what's hurting this series too, is the fact that they're not on national television, so they're not getting a big audience. I mean, sure, these races end up on YouTube, but still, if they had a national TV audience like the main series does, I feel like that would help the series draw more cars. But anyway, guys, let's get into it. The main reason why I'm sure you guys are here to talk about the main division of ARCA, just called the ARCA Menards Series. They are back with 20 races. The schedule is actually a lot different than I thought it would be. I kind of thought it would be the exact same schedule with the exact same dates, pretty much. I didn't think the ARCA schedule would be all that different. But yeah, we do have some changes compared to last year. I am happy to say. Of course, we're starting off Daytona because why not? We're starting off in Daytona. Hopefully, Brandt returns as a sponsor again. We could always use a sponsor for that race. I don't like it when it's just called the Daytona ARCA 200. Starting off in then Phoenix, of course, with the West Series combo race. Then we go to Talladega. Last year, we went to Kansas as the fourth race. There was a pretty big gap from Talladega to May. But we are not doing it this year. We're actually going to Dover the week after Talladega. We are going to Dover, yes. After years of seeing the very, very sad Dover East races, we are finally seeing the main division go to Dover. Dover's not Brad's favorite track. I can tell you that right now. He likes Dover, but it's not his favorite track to run on. But seeing a bigger field at Dover is going to be so much nicer. That's all I'll say, man. I mean, it was pretty much you had Sawalich, the 4 Venerini cars, and the Pinnacle car. And then you had Zachary Tinkle, who could hang with them, but he didn't have the motor. He didn't have the motor to hang with them, unfortunately. But the Dover ARCA race should, at minimum, bring in 20 to 25 cars and at least 10 to 15, probably even 20 competitive ones. So that's such a nice turnaround right there, and it'll be such a better race. Hopefully they bring a good tire. We know Dover has been notorious for some pretty hard tire crashes. But yeah, I like the addition of Dover. Then we go to Kansas. Then Charlotte. Iowa has been moved up from its July date to back to June again. Mid-Ohio is we'll have the only stock car race in Mid-Ohio, as the Truck Series, unfortunately, is not returning. It'll be just ARCA there, I believe, with some vintage series. We'll be running with ARCA at Mid-Ohio. Then Berlin, Lucas Oil, Salem. Salem has been moved up from the second to last race of the year to the middle of the season, basically, right in the middle of the summer, or I guess you could say the end of summer, end of July. Elko has been moved from early June to now early August. That's kind of an interesting thing right there. Elko, it's going to be hot no matter what. And then the rest of the schedule is kind of the same. You got Michigan, then the 2 dirt tracks, or you got Springfield, Milwaukee, then DuQuoin. The ARCA Hell Tour, as they call it, is going to be different this year. It is no longer the ARCA Hell Tour of Watkins Glen to Springfield. It is now Michigan to Springfield. And I'll say that has got to be a big hoopla to a lot of the ARCA teams. It's got to be a nightmare going from a road course setup to a dirt track setup. Now, most teams will just have different cars, but some teams are using the same car. So going from a Michigan setup to a 1 mile dirt track setup, that's a lot easier for a lot of the guys. So I like the fact that we're going, and I still don't like the Hell Tour idea, but I like the fact that we are no longer going from Watkins Glen to a dirt track and just going from Michigan to a dirt track. So it's going to be a lot easier on the teams. On travel-wise, too, considering how much closer both Michigan and the Springfield dirt track are to each other. Very much closer. Then, of course, Milwaukee, DuQuoin, Watkins Glen will be now in September, of course. Bristol, the second Kansas date. And then, of course, the finale in Toledo. So, yeah, very, very solid schedule, 20 races. The magic number of 20 races is perfect for ARCA. They don't really need to go less. They don't need to go more. I like the schedule. Not really much I would change about it. Obviously, we guys know, I mean, there's been some talks like, oh, why does Kansas need 2 dates? Well, if you guys remember, part of the deal with Menards is that I believe it's either 12 or 13 races have to be within, I believe, a Menards sanctioned store. And I can tell you right now, the only reason why Iowa's been a constant stay on the schedule is because Iowa, the Clive, Iowa Menards that I go to a lot. I'm at the Menards all the time. But the Clive, Iowa Menards is actually the top selling Menards store in the entire company. And that's why ARCA always goes to Iowa. It's because of that. And then Kansas, I don't know exactly what number it is, but Kansas Menards has one of the top stores. I don't know exactly what number it is in the company. I know Iowa's number one, but the Kansas one, I'm not quite sure. It's just a very high store. That's why they go to Kansas 2 times a year now. Does that make sense? So that's why they go to Kansas twice a year now. I know. I wish we could go to more short tracks, but it makes sense, guys. It makes sense when you look at it from a sponsorship standpoint. John Menard's been very generous to the ARCA Menard series. Now, it'll go 14 years sponsoring the series, 14 years. So we got to thank John Menard for help keeping our series sponsored. We love him. We love John Menard. Love John Menard. But yeah, very, very, very fun schedule, I'll say. As of actual driver announcements, there is a lot more to talk about. There's a lot more to talk about with the main division. We have Rev Racing has already announced it'll be running 2 full-time cars in the main division. That's so good to hear. Andres Perez de Lara and LeVar Scott will both be chasing the Drivers' Championship. Christian Rose will be back full-time. Alex Clubb has announced his return to a full-time schedule. Venturini Motorsports, Chris Wright has been named the driver of the 15. Now, that's interesting right there. Yes, Chris Wright. I know he's not everybody's favorite. He doesn't really like me. But yeah, Chris Wright will be driving the 15 full-time for Venturini. Not really sure how I feel about that. I'm not the biggest Chris Wright fan. Everybody knows that. And he already has me blocked, even though I love the Venturinis. Although they did say that they will be running 4 full-time cars. So I'm curious to see who's going to be in the 20. And supposedly, like I said, they're going to be running 4 full-time cars with 2 full-time drivers. A report of that came out at Toledo a couple months ago. So it'll be interesting to see who they find for those other cars. But like I said, right now, and this is just the beginning. Obviously, we'll have more. We have Jack Wood. He'll be running some part-time races. Rita Goulet in the 31. They'll be running part-time races. William Sawalich, right now, he is expected to run his usual, probably the same schedule that he did last year. Obviously, he's not 18 yet, so the tracks that he cannot compete on would be Daytona. He'll probably be at the Daytona test, but he won't be driving Daytona. He won't be driving Talladega, and he won't be driving Kansas, Charlotte, Michigan, and the other Kansas race. They will need another driver to fill the car there. It might be Connor Mosack. Again, we haven't gotten that confirmation, but I would expect William Sawalich to run the other races that he is allotted to run. And then, of course, he does turn 18, I believe, on October 3rd. That's his birthday, and that's when he'll start running some Xfinity races. So, yeah, this is going to probably be the swan song year for William Sawalich and ARCA, because they ain't going to wait till he's 18 to run a full ARCA year. When he's 18, he'll probably be running full-time Xfinity in 2025. And realistically, at that point, does he really need to run full-time ARCA in 2025? No, he doesn't. He's proved himself this year. He'll prove himself again next year. Yeah, he'll be just fine. But yeah, William Sawalich will return for probably about, let's see here, I'm looking at the schedule right now, guys. That's what I'm reading. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 6. So it looks like William Sawalich will be returning for 14 races next year in the main division. It'll be interesting to see who they find in the 18 for the remaining 6. It could be Mosack, but that has not been confirmed yet. We'll just have to see. Jake Finch has already been confirmed for Venturini. Not full-time. He will be running the 20 car at Daytona. So that does tell you that the 20 car will go back to an all-star car. They will not be a full-time car. So I'm curious, does that mean the 25 will be a full-time car? Does that mean the 55 will be a full-time driver car? Will Tony Breidinger return to Venturini full-time? I hope she does. I think one more full-time year in ARCA would fit her very good, considering her massive improvements that she made over the last year in terms of her actual driving, which proved a ton this year compared to 2022. So hopefully we'll see there. I could see Finch going full-time, but right now Daytona is only confirmed for them. Some other names. We know Brad will be back full-time. I do believe I can tell you guys some things about Brad. They are getting a third car done. Cars will, the Chevrolet will get a new paint job. Rick Reddick, Tackman, who drove the 48 at Milwaukee, will be driving some more races next year in the car. So you might see Brad in the Ford more. Rick will be in one car. So Brad Smith Motorsports might be running. They might be running 2 full-time cars next year. Don't quote me on that, but they might run 2 cars the majority of the year. Because obviously Rick Reddick, they help him. Renegade Race Cars is the company. If you want to give them a look on Facebook, they are the company that helps Brad get his cars ready. No Ilmores, but at least we're getting our SB2 motors a little bit better, so it'll be a little bit faster, but nothing special. Peterson Motorsports, no word on them if they're going to be back full time. Hopefully they will be. Obviously, we know they did part ways with AJ Moyer. We know we don't know where AJ is going to land. Supposedly he's got something lined up, but we don't know where Peterson Motorsports will be. We know they'll be at Daytona, but we don't know if Peterson will be full time. You know, Wayne's getting up there in age now. He'll be 86 next year, so hopefully they'll be full time. Kimmel and Scott Melton, I'm sure they'll be back for their usual 5 to 10, 15 race schedule, which they kind of differs every year, but 5 to 10 races, probably 15 at the max for Scott Melton and Will Kimmel himself. Other drivers full-time that ran last year, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Andy Hillenberg, he'll probably have 3 to 4 full-time cars. The 30 team, will they be back full-time next year? That's up in the air. We know Frankie Muniz will probably run 8 to 10 races, but will that be just the 8 to 10 races, or will the 30 team be full-time? John Garrett is looking at only running 7 to 8 races next year. The funding has not come through, unfortunately. Let's see here. Who else? Looking at the pages right now, trying to get an eye for you guys. Cosentino would like to come back. Obviously, they're in search of funded drivers. Brother-in-law Motorsports, Brian Dowsett's team, they will be at Daytona with the 57 and 75, so that's good to hear. Caleb Costner, of course, we know the 93 will be full-time. CR7, they'll be at Daytona, but I don't know past Daytona. I don't know the extent of their schedule. Pinnacle Racing Group, I'm really curious to see what comes out of that. Spraker will probably be at Daytona. Like I said, guys, it's all up in the air, but I still think we're in for a good season. I'll still say this, though. I'll say hot take right now. The West Series for me, will be the best series again. But I hope to be proven wrong. And like I said, guys, you might just catch yours truly right here in an ARCA race next year. That's the goal. That's the goal for me. So, anyway, guys, boy, this never gets old, does it? And it's hard to believe we'll only be back here in about a month and a half with the January test coming up. So, no official dates on that yet. No official dates yet. I wouldn't give the championship to Chris Wright just yet. I would actually say that Andres Perez de Lara is my pick for the championship next year. If you want to say right now, Andres is my pick for the championship, not Chris Wright. But yeah, guys, we'll be back here in a month, just a month and a half. Nothing on Greg Van Elst yet. He's still recovering from his injuries. Yeah, guys, we'll be back here just in a month and a half for the January test. So it's like this podcast, it doesn't go away for very long. You guys are stuck with me whether you like it or not. But anyway, guys, thank you all for tuning in for tonight's show. It's really all I got to talk about. All 3 schedules were very, 2 of the 3 schedules were fun. The third one is but what else can we really expect? But anyway, guys, here's to another great year of ARCA racing ahead. I'll be here for every single race, all the East races, all the West races, and all the main division races. I'll be here, and I hope you guys are all here with me so we can talk about them and review them. But till next time, like and subscribe to the channel, turn on that bell for all notifications, and have a great holidays. Have a great rest of your year, and I will see you all. At the January test preview show. Take care, guys. Have a great weekend, and I'm giving you the goodbye salute. I'm signing off. So long, guys.